Well, Kelly's court is back in session. On the docket today, a new report that 1 month before he allegedly killed 12 people and wounded another 58, the Colorado movie massacre suspect talked to his campus psychiatrist about killing, quote, a lot of people. This report unearthed as thousands of new emails in the case have just been released. Now, a local station out in Denver, Colorado is reporting that the psychiatrist treating James Holmes reached out to the campus police because of his remarks and actually violated patient confidentiality because she was so concerned. But then she reportedly opted not to place him under a psychiatric hold because he was withdrawing from the university. That was in June. In July, this was the scene in Aurora, Colorado, where authorities say Holmes opened fire on a packed movie theater, killing 12, as I said, and wounding so many more. The new evidence raises questions over whether someone somewhere could have seen this coming, should have seen this coming, and should have done more to protect the community, not just the campus. Joining me now, Mercedes Colwin, who's a Fox News legal analyst, and Mark Eiglarsh, who's a former prosecutor, now defense attorney, both in New York. So, Mark, let me start with you on this, on whether this psychiatrist, who, according to these reports, was told by Holmes he wanted to kill a lot of people to the point where she violated the privilege to go contact the cops, should have done more.
Megan, I'm not ready to hang anybody yet until I know what really the facts are. We can play with your introductory facts and say those are the facts, and we can play hypothetical. But I'd want to know from her, which I have yet to hear or see any emails that say he told me that he wanted to kill hundreds of people now, immediately, in the future, because then
Mark, if it's at the point where she calls the campus police
I agree.
And violates patient confidentiality, she clearly thinks it's imminent.
I agree, but then the question is, why didn't they, authorities, deem it to be a significant enough risk to do something? That's apparently what took place. So it depends on the words that were told to her. She might have passed it along because she thought, all right, maybe. And then they look at it and they say, you know what? We don't think this is significant enough.
But Mercedes, the police, the campus police reportedly said to her, well, do you want to put him on a psych hold? You're his psychiatrist. And she said, according to this reporting, no, because he's about to quit his college.
Is that the only reason, though?
Shame on the psychiatrist for not doing something more. If someone comes forward, obviously she was concerned enough to reach out and say, look, I honestly believe, and that's one of the reasons why there isn't a violation, I honestly believe there's imminent harm to other individuals on the campus. That's why she breached her patient-client relationship and made those disclosures. That's the only way she can do it without a violation. So she was clearly concerned for the campus students, and that's why she disclosed it. But secondly, you know what, Mark? You'll never know what exactly was told. She will not come forward unless she's able to show that there was some imminent harm, and because there are federal regulations that prohibit that disclosure. But it was
Mercedes,
enough for her.
But she did it. But the reporting is that the local police officer said, this is campus police, said, do you want a 72-hour mental health evaluation, a 72-hour detention? And Dr. Lynn Fenton was empowered to order such a hold, but they say the cop had no reason to order such a hold herself, and we're deferring to the doctor's judgment. The doctor said he's already put in his notice that he's withdrawing from the university, so they said the hold wasn't necessary. I mean, does a campus psychiatrist, Mark, have an obligation to the community, not just the campus?
To me, the answer is yes. I just can't get past that the facts are that black and white, they're that perfect. But if those are the facts,
I get you. We don't know until we hear it ourselves in court. This is just a news organization reporting.
Let me tell you, Megan, if there's ever a time where we're going to truly hear what happened and then come back and go, ooh, I should have thrown that psychiatrist under the bus or other officials because it wasn't exactly like that, this may be the case. But yes, I'll play along, and if those are the facts, then yes, she has an obligation to everybody out there.
Mark. She did make a disclosure that he was a threat, and really what it boils down to, she made the disclosure he was a threat on campus. Should she have done something more to prevent the massacre from happening in the community?
But let me ask you this, Mercedes. But let me just not to put all the focus, and let's just be clear. James Holmes is the one responsible for these murders. And the only reason in looking at those who are advising James Holmes or knew about the threat is to make sure that similar behavior is not repeated in the future by similarly situated psychiatrists and police and so on. So there needs to be some accountability there as well. But I don't want to, suggest that anybody other than Holmes is responsible. But on the subject of the campus police, Mercedes, is it true that they get a phone call from a psychiatrist saying the guy's threatening to kill a lot of people. I'm so concerned I'm violating patient confidentiality to tell you. And the campus police, all they can say is, Well, do you want to put a psych hold on him? I mean, can't they go? Can you go arrest somebody for just saying that stuff?
That's hard to believe. Well, I mean, I don't think they had the impetus to be able to actually arrest him for making those comments to the psychiatrist or even being told about it. But should something more have been done?
Could they
Absolutely.
monitor him? What could they do to sort of watch out to make sure he wasn't a threat?
Exactly
but
right. They could have monitored him. They could have put him in that 72-hour psych evaluation. That could have really led to preventing this massacre from happening.
Isn't there a difference between a patient saying, you know what, and sometimes, in the weakest moment when he's sharing with the psychiatrist, there's even sometimes I feel like harming myself and even hundreds of people, versus him saying, I am going to harm hundreds of people very soon.
Totally.
There's a difference.
There
it does
is.
depend on the facts.
And the difference apparently kicked in his consultations with Dr. Fenton because she broke patient confidentiality and called the cops.
And Megan, in every jurisdiction, there's a mental health law that says if someone says, hey, I think I'm going to harm myself or others, you can't put them under that psych evaluation. And that's what the cops were saying. That same law exists in Colorado.
But you're saying, but Mercedes, what you're saying is that the cops were not empowered to do much without the psychiatrist saying, put on the hold.
Exactly right. And that's unfortunate for them because obviously there's 20/20 hindsight looking at what took place.
That's the uncomfortable thing about this whole thing is that we're all looking back knowing what happened in Aurora. So you have to be somewhat forgiving of the folks who were trying to make their best judgment. But we'll see how it plays out. Panel, thank you both.
Thanks, Megan.